Consulate Dreadnought. 1 mana, 7/11, artifact vehicle with crew 6. Giant Ox. 2 mana, 0/6. It crews vehicles using its toughness rather than its power. It's a new one from Kaldheim. I have not actually seen this card. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time. Match 5. The list that you see on screen. If you're not familiar with this deck list, then check out match 1. That's where I did the deck tech and got into detail about the nitty-gritty with this deck list. I will not be going over that here. We're here to see if we're going to end up 4-1 or 3-2. Either way, I'll be happy, not only because we'll be getting our full league value back regardless, but also because we've learned a lot of important information along the way and had quite a bit of fun, and that's what it's all about. Anyways, I'm going to stop wasting your time. Let's jump straight into the match. 2-0, 2-0, 0-2, 2-0. No close matches, all just landslides in one direction or the other. Let's get paired against Red, White, Burn. That's what I want. Alright, let's jump in here. Whew, on the play. Love it. We got a Amulet on turn 1 kind of hand. And all the lands in the world. We need to top deck a Titan. Like, this is the kind of hand that I always keep, and then just like 7-8 turns go by and I still haven't found a Primeval Titan, and it just feels awful, but I'm gonna still keep it. Some people just never learn, I guess, and that person is me. If we don't draw a Titan this game, berate me in the comments for keeping this hand. Make me feel bad about it. Turn 1 Amulet here to make sure it doesn't get discarded out of our hand, even though our opponent didn't reveal alerts, so they may or may not be on a deck that contains discard spells, but... Inspiring Vantage. Consulate Dreadnought. 1 mana, 7/11, artifact vehicle with crew 6. Well, this screams of some sort of combo deck. Not entirely sure what's going on here. I'm just gonna throw out this measly Tolaria West and Grazer in a breeding pool, so next turn we can Gruul Turf to pick up the Tolaria West after floating the mana and transmute it. That's the plan. So that way we can have a turn 4 Titan or something like that. This is why there is a breeding pool in the deck. Our opponent has played an Arid Mesa. Well, I was close. They're playing red and white, right? That's almost burn. Still not sure how our opponent plans to use this Consulate Dreadnought. I suppose we will find out, though. Giant Ox. 2 mana, 0/6. It crews vehicles using its toughness rather than its power. It's a new one from Kaldheim. I have not actually seen this card, so now our opponents are going to be attacking us with this 7/11 artifact vehicle here. I say artifact vehicle like it's not just a vehicle. Okay. I mean, do we snap off the block? I mean, I don't see a reason not to. It doesn't have trample or anything, right? Let's just go ahead and block. I'm very cautious that our opponent could have some kind of effect that'll make us regret not having blocked that very turn. And of course we pick up a Titan here. So we can still pick up Tolaria West and transmute it for something and be able to have a second Gruul Turf to go off this upcoming turn with Titan. Which probably is going to be the play. Yeah. I think that's something I'm still interested in doing here. Probably just getting a Summoner's Pact. Sure. Pass it back. And we'll just hope we're not dead this turn to something crazy. Giant Ox, though. How about that? I love this art. Hopefully we're not dead. If we draw like a second Amulet, then we can get Dryad into play before we go about our Titan ways, and that would basically win the game immediately on the spot. Our opponent's crewing up their 7/11 here. Tolaria West. Well, I don't think that changes anything. I think we're just slamming Titan, hasting it, attacking with it. Yeah. Thankfully, we have a second Valakut here, so we can leave enough lands in play for triggering Field the Dead after we do this Titan thing. But that's definitely what we're doing, so Field of the Dead to make blockers for the 7-11 seems like it should be pretty good. And here we'll just pick up a bounce land, because I don't see a reason not to. Yep. So we want this Valakut, and we want this Hanweir Battlements. Untap both. We want to haste this guy right here. And swing. Yep. And we want Field of the Dead. And I suppose if we wanted to be extra safe, we could get Radiant Fountain. I don't know if that's going to be necessary, but I mean, Vesuva copying Valakut would stop us from getting zombie triggers, so there's probably not that. Yeah, I actually think Radiant Fountain is the only other relevant land we can even get here, so I might as well commit to it. So let's yield to the Radiant Fountain and the field triggers and just pass it back to our opponent here. Suppose we could have gotten a bounce land so we could pack 4 and cast a Dryad the same turn and kill something. Yeah, actually, if we had gotten a green bounce land and picked up, say, Breeding Pool or whatever, and then packed it 4 and played Dryad and then played Valakut, we would have had 2 triggers exactly to kill the Ox. That might have been good. I'm hoping that it won't matter. Probably seeing a path to exile on our Titan. Giver of Runes, okay. This crew 1, so they actually can crew up their copter here and attack with that one as well. It's worth noting that if we attack with our Titan this upcoming turn, our opponent might be able to crew up their Dreadnought to block, but in all honesty, we'll probably just be killing them with Valakut triggers and Dryad in play anyways, so we probably won't care about that. Crew up the Dreadnought, okay. Probably be blocking this with literally every zombie that we have. Yeah, Trample. Makes sense. 7, 8, 9, 10. Minus the 4 that we have here would be 6. If they double strike this one with some kind of 1-mana double strike effect, that would be 14, 15, 16, 17. Minus 4 would be 13, so our Radiant Fountain would have kept us alive in that case. So definitely very grateful for that. We're definitely putting both zombies in front of this Dreadnought. They can do the thing with their copter, that's fine. Draw and discard. Standard All-Star. I think it got banned in Standard, right? We'll go to block and put everything in front of this Dreadnought just to be as safe as possible. Yeah, and we can even make 2 Dryads happen this upcoming turn thanks to the Talaria West. Pack 4, play a Dryad, play a Bounce Land, float some... Oh, there's a Amulet as well. Yeah, why don't we just play that one too? Alright, here's a Summoner's Pact. We might want to yield, or unyield to our Amulet triggers here before something disastrous happens. Get a Dryad. Of course, place a Dryad. We would have exactly enough to get a second Dryad off of a Summoner's Pact and cast it if we play the Valakut here, floating 2, so I think that's going to be the move. We'll point these triggers upstairs, of course, as that's where we're inevitably trying to go with these triggers anyways. Yield to the field. We'll untap, float a blue, untap, always yes. And our opponent scoops it up. Alright. Game 2. I don't know how I feel about this member. It doesn't kill the Ox, and it doesn't kill their Dreadnought either. Explosives is going to be fantastic here, and I think Karn is probably going to be amazing as well, since it stops them from crewing. Pithy Needle on the sideboard, waiting to name Constant Dreadnought. Love it, love it. All of our artifact interaction makes sense here. Still not sure on Dismember. I guess it lets us kill Giver of Runes, so that we can, like, block. I don't know, though. Seems kind of loose. I think we can go without Dismember, but I could be wrong. They also might have things like Stoneforge Mystic and other equipments. It's probably worth it to bring in the Dismembers, but I'm not 100% convinced. Explore can go. This is not a matchup where we need to be refilling our hand necessarily. Bog can go. I'm a little surprised that they're not playing Luris, actually. We can trim... Actually, I don't want to trim any Summoners packs. We can trim a Cavern, at least. Grazer seems very good. Azusa seems not quite as important. Trim one, maybe. And I guess the other Cavern as well. Just run it this way. We're a little low on land drops here, but hopefully being high on interaction will make up for that. Maybe we should be trimming one of these dismembers to keep our Cavern in. The second one, at least. I'm going to make that small pivot just to try to make sure we're as consistent as possible. Could be wrong, but I just want to be extra careful that we are able to play our turn 3 Karns and turn 3 or 4 Primeval Titans without any issues mana-wise. On the draw now. We have this hand that's a little slow. We can play a turn 2 Grazer, turn 3 Dryad, turn 4 Titan. Strikes me as being a little slow, but I think it might be good enough. I'm going to try it. We top deck a basic Forest, which we have 6 of, plus a Windswept Heath and a Breeding Pool. Then we don't. But if we had, that would have been cool. Our opponent has no 1-drop here, which is interesting. Is it possible they're holding up Wear and Tear or something like that? Hoping to spike our turn 1 Amulet with some kind of artifact enchantment interaction spell. Copter. That's fine. If our opponent's being as slow as this, then I feel very good about our keep. I'm still slamming this Arboreal Grazer just because I want to. Maybe we could have held it to pitch to the Force, but don't think it's that big of a deal. I'm going to play the Garenbrig back out here as well. They have the Ox. They do have the Ox. That's fine. No Dreadnought yet, though. Crewing up their Copter with their 06 here. Very cool, very cool. They get to loot as well. I like it. Our opponent could, I suppose, be playing Blood Moon. That's something to consider. Might want to use Vesuva to copy their basic planes here, so that if they do Blood Moon us, then we have a Dryad and play to tap for green. Although, in all honesty, we'll probably just force the Blood Moon anyways. They discard a land, a pathway land, at that. I find the pathway lands to be very cool. No need to throw our Grazer in front of 3 damage. We can take a Lightning Bolt. And this is the reason why. They do have the Dreadnought. Do we force yet? I don't think so. Amulet. That's a nice one. We can't play Titan this turn. We can play Amulet, play land, play Dryad, and still not be able to hold up Force. We could play Amulet and then play a regular land, like a Vesuva copying Garenbrig or something, and hold up hard cast Force. And then we would have play of a bounce land, tap, play Dryad, play bounce land, 1, 2, 3, 4, activate Garenbrig Titan. We could play Dryad and Titan all in the same turn and hard cast Force if we just play a single land and our Amulet here. Yeah, so I think that makes sense to me. Don't want to tap our green land, though. Yeah, let's play out our Battlements. Play the Amulet. Oh, no, we can't play Force, actually. Alright, never mind. Just slamming Dryad, then copying this basic planes for reasons we've already discussed. Although we do have Force to cover it if we absolutely needed it, but don't really want to pitch this Primeval Titan to a Force of Vigor in the case our opponent does have a Blood Moon or something, though. I suppose the way to hold up Force this turn would have been to tap the Garenbrig, play the Amulet, play Bounce Land, it'll untap to the Amulet and pick up the Garenbrig. But then we can't play Dryad the turn after. The enchant creature or vehicle, as long as enchanted permanent is a vehicle, it's a creature in addition to its other types, and it gets +3/+0 and first strike. Okay, that's not super scary in all honesty. 6/3? Oh, they did this to the Smuggler's Copter and not the Dreadnought? Okay. Sure. Definitely not pitching Titan just to cast this Force immediately. Don't think that makes any sense, so we'll just chump block the Dreadnought and kill our opponent with Valakut triggers this upcoming turn, and that will be the game. Assuming nothing crazy happens here. Hopefully they don't play a 4th land and represent Path. Don't know if I would go for it then or not. Depends on whether we draw a green card to pitch to Force, probably. Definitely blocking the Dreadnought here. Alright, untap. And our opponent is dead. And we hit the green card as well. So, let's, I guess we need to use Vesuva to copy Hanweir. Unless we play a land first here. Think it's fine to just go ahead and tap it. Oh wait, our Vesuva's already in play. So actually we need to leave our Hanweir open here. So we do need to play out the field first. We can yield to these. Float green. Float green. Float 2. Activate Titan. Now we can get double Valakut, and things are easy. Valakut. Valakut. All triggers go to the dome. Amulet. Amulet. Always yes. Always yes. Always yield. We will haste our Titan. Go to combat. Swing, swing, and that is the game. Alright, so we managed to go 4-1 with our beautiful Karn list. Feels pretty good. I feel like we could have faced a couple more decks that were on meta, but then again, Kaldheim just came out, and there's not really a super distinct meta just yet. We did play against the Tybalt's Trickery deck, and I think that we basically can't beat that deck. In fact, I have no idea what we would play on the sideboard to try to deal with that matchup, if anything. Maybe we just scoop to it. I don't know. Doesn't stop me from trying to play what I enjoy, and hopefully it shouldn't stop you either. But yeah, let me know if you have suggestions down in the comments below. Let me know if we should do something crazy like Splash White for Deafening Silence, or if you have any specific kind of artifact-based tech against that deck, for example, would be nice, especially if it goes well with Karn. I don't know. I haven't done any research into it, so if you have, then drop it in the comments and I'll take a look at it. Also, there was a mention of potentially adding Ancient Stirrings to the deck list here, and I think that makes some sense. I feel like if I were to add copies of Ancient Stirrings to the deck, I would start by shaving an Explorer and an Azusa, and maybe play 2 copies of Stirrings, maybe shave a land as well. Maybe like the cavern, or like one of the basic lands I could see. I did like having a high density of untapped sources for green on turn 1. It makes your grazers very consistent, and I imagine it makes it much easier to play against Blood Moon, although we haven't seen that in practice just yet. But if this is the new thing that Amulet is doing, it might be the wave of the future, and you heard it here first. But yeah, I could see trimming a basic land perhaps. But I think just starting off like this, with the 2 Ancient Stirrings here in the main, just like that, to try to find our Karns, Amulets, or Bounce lands, that definitely makes sense to me, and this is probably where I would start messing around with that idea. In the sideboard, I do think that we are lacking a bit for the control matchup, so I would make the following changes. I would play this Beast Within over the Wilt, as both are equally adept at hitting things like Blood Moon, but Beast Within also will hit things like Planeswalkers, Ashioks, Teferis, Jaces, those kinds of things. Beast Within is good against. We could also play a couple copies of Negate, but to be honest, maybe with Karn in the deck, we can kind of outplay our control opponents and sequence our spells such that they can't interact at the right times with the right cards, and we can just outpace them that way. I could see that. I could also see maybe a copy or 2 of Veil of Summer, as Negate's a little off color here. I don't know. I'm not the hugest fan of Negate, but I don't dislike it either. Negate would also help us against the Tybalt's trickeries of the world, which is something to note. In fact, maybe Spell Pierce. This one right here. 1 mana instant, counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays to. Maybe Spell Pierce could shine in the Tybalt's trickery meta. I could definitely see that. Maybe playing a couple Spell Pierces in the sideboard helps against control as well. We'd have to reconfigure the mana base to tap for a single blue on turn 1 a little more often, but something like adding a couple of gemstone mines or something like that. But it is definitely something to consider. Anyways, let me know what you think about Karn and how you feel about these Karn lists. So far, I have managed to have some decent success with Karn, and I think that Karn is a pretty good choice moving forward. Let me know what deck you want to see me play next as well. Drop it in the comments, and as always, I check every single comment, read them all, respond to many of them, and who knows, maybe your suggestion will be the subject of another league in the future. Alright, I'm gonna call it there. Hope you guys enjoyed it. This is Redface Menace, signing off.